When the hero has proven himself, he meets the Muse, the goddess, who inspires him to go beyond what he's experienced so far. But what does that inspiration do for him? Meeting the Muse, or the goddess, as Joseph Campell called her. Stage 7 of the hero's journey. So who's this Muse or goddess? Now, first of all, let me tell you one thing. A lot of writers about the hero's journey assume that the Muse or the goddess is every woman that the hero might meet. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Now, I think even Joseph Campbell sometimes used certain terms because they were, interesting, and he personally associated things with them. But if we really want to understand the deep structure, the Muse, and I like to call her the Muse because goddess kind of implies some deity status, and that's not necessarily the case. The Muse is some being that inspires and encourages the hero to go beyond what he's achieved so far. So that naturally means the Muse can only really come into his life at the point where he has already achieved something, where he has achieved and assumed a heroic status, the role of a hero. If people talk about things like Star Wars, they may say, well, Leia is the Muse or the goddess in that case, because it's Campbell's terminology. They say Luke's meeting the goddess when he meets Leia. Well, she is a damsel in distress, I give you that, but she certainly is not the goddess or the Muse. Because, well, really, what she does to a certain extent inspire him is not really reaching a new level. She inspires him in a sense to be part of the rebellion and do some more shooting and fighting, but he's done that already, so there's no really new level. She's also not really meant to inspire him in any erotic way because, well, she's his sister. You could argue, was that clear in the beginning in episode 4? But anyway, she's not really the classical type of Muse. The classical Muse could be the same person as the damsel in distress who originally was the reason for going onto the path of adventure. That is possible, but now the meeting with the Muse must imply some new element. So a common subject in fairy tales is that now that the hero has conquered the dragon or whatever it was, he's become a hero, he's going to marry the princess, but that doesn't necessarily mean the princess likes him. So now he has to learn a completely different set of skills. He has to charm the princess. He has to win her love and affection. And if he fails to do that, it's no good that he's able to kill dragons. He needs to go to the next level. Now, in some fairy tales, the Muse is an inspiring figure who is not going to have an erotic relationship with the main hero, either because she's not available or because she's a goddess or because of some other reason. So looking back, the fact that there's no erotic relationship could still mean that Leia could be the Muse, but the inspiring thing, this is why I call her the Muse, this inspiration, this, deeper sense, that's completely missing with Leia. So classical examples of a Muse are, for example, Medea. Medea is a sorceress or enchantress who helps Jason, the leader of the Argonauts, to actually get the Golden Fleece. Another Muse in Greek mythology is Andromeda, the woman who Perseus frees from the sea monster. And after he's met her and freed her, he actually kidnaps her, in some versions of the myth at least. And here we find another important function of the Muse. After the hero has met the Muse, or probably even captured her, kidnapped her, or whatever, that's not heroic. He has to win her love and affection. And only if he's done that, then he will really be able to pass on to the next stage, to experience the transformation that will often give him the ultimate boon, the common theme between the different types of muses really is that the hero needs to be inspired to do more, either because the muse is some kind of inspiring figure in and of herself, or himself in some cases, or because the muse is really a partner, a woman whose affection he wants to win, and because he needs to do that, he needs to go to the next level. He needs to elevate himself. And even in today's life, we find that men often try to win a woman's affection by impressing her the same way he would impress his male friends. He tries to be this cool macho guy, and very often women are not that impressed, because often it requires some other qualities in addition or instead to impress a woman. So the pictogram for this stage shows the hero and his admiration for the muse, for the goddess, who's shown as a female figure in outline with this radiant glow, simply because she might also have this otherworldly quality to her. She might be a goddess, she might be a muse, she might not be a woman of flesh and blood. So keep in mind that the muse doesn't always have to be a female figure. For example, in the story of Moses, the muse is really God, who inspires him by giving him the 10 Commandments, which completely elevates his understanding, his task, to a totally new level. So if we're going to apply this in our daily life, this is really the point where we initiate the transformational process. Now, until now, we've had all the stages of the setup. Now there's no more setup. Now we actually start to do the real thing. But we're not yet at the main transformation. That is where we will be at in the next stage of the hero's journey. In this stage of the hero's journey, we are initiating that. So this can be all kinds of things. For example, in sports, this can be in a sports game, this can be the kickoff. In a snooker game, for example, the first shot is really important. Same in billiard, of course. It will create the initial starting situation which determines how the game will develop. If you're driving your car, this is the moment where you actually start the motor and hit the gas. And in flying, this is the moment where you take off and reach your level, your final flight level. And it's kind of obvious that here's a natural sequence. You cannot do any of those things unless you've, before doing that, reached the starting position, reached a position from which you can actually initiate the transformative process. The muse actually is the third type of helper. The first type of helper was the herald, who told us about the hero's journey. The second type of helper was the mentor, who taught us what we need to do and who gave us the tools and resources to do so. Now we are with the third and probably most transformational type of helper, because the muse inspires us to reach a completely new level. It's this deeper inspiration. You know, when we meet the herald, we go like, yeah, okay, I can do that. When we meet the mentor, this is more of an involved emotional interaction. Now we actually need to build this connection so the mentor is actually willing to help us, and we really learn new skills. But it's still a learning that isn't like, it's not totally transformational. So we learn to fight, but maybe we were not a good fighter, but we knew that before, or we get new information. But now it's something completely different. We have to outgrow ourselves. We have to become something or somebody who's way beyond what we were. And that's the main quality. This is why the herald can be associated more or less to the cognitive level. The mentor brings an emotional element into the whole thing. Of course, he can pass on cognitive information, etc. But now, as an additional quality, becomes more emotional. We need to create this emotional bond. And now, with the muse, it is this deeper subconscious connection that is added to the mix. And one way to represent this in the metaphor and symbology of mythology is to represent the muse as a female figure, because now we have this subconscious thing going on. I mean, Freud had a reason to say that he associated subconscious processes with sexual processes. Now, I'm not saying the muse always has to have a sexual element, but it's a good metaphor to describe this new quality. In the next video, we're going to look at the opposing quality to the helper. That is going to be the challenge, and this is going to be the deepest and most significant challenge. This is going to be the temptation. Thank you for watching. I hope you did find some inspiration here, and please don't forget to like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel to not miss any future videos. And it would be great if you stay connected, and we'll see you again in the next video. But before that, one more thing. What inspires you? Are there any books or movies that you find inspiring? Are there any stories or myths that you find especially inspiring for you? Doesn't matter if this is like really antique, ancient world stuff, or if it's like a modern movie or a modern book. What do you find most inspiring? I'm really looking forward to read your comments about what inspires you in the comments. And one more last thought. Do you know who actually is the muse? The most inspiring being in Star Wars? Write your thoughts about this in the comments. And if you want to know more about it, we have an extra series just about Star Wars. And thank you for watching again, and see you in the next video.